Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca Allen. We have 3 minutes of urgency, which will be explanations, poems, empowerment for people who are wondering, is there an urgent time or isn't climate change way in the future? What can we do? How should we help each other? And to start us off with this short few minutes, we're going to turn it over to Tami Hay.
Thank you, Rebecca. Well, Rebecca and I are part of a larger organization called Climate Healers and the Million Vegan Grandmothers. And through this organization, we have been able to understand what's really going on, what we've been hoodwinked about, what has been postponed in the name of corruption and profit, and what we're here for. And what we're here for is people of homo ahimsas. We're people of peace and love and returning back to the garden as we originally were instructed to be. People of Genesis 1:29, if we're to look at it from a spiritual or religious perspective, we were given every plant, herb, and fruit-bearing tree to live, and to the animals, they were given the grasses. So the issue that is constantly brought into my heart is our ecosystems are dying and the animals within those ecosystems. So one of the things that Rebecca talks about in regards to urgency is the climate urgency. I want to talk about the ecosystem urgency. I was walking with a friend today and she said, there's hardly any birds anymore. And I was thinking about Rachel Carson's Silent Spring. And I was thinking about this one place I used to walk in 20 years ago when I moved to this piece of land. And usually within a week, I would see 2 or 3 moose. I rarely see a moose anymore. I rarely see deer anymore. I see very few birds compared to before. When we annihilate the homes and we spray and create such havoc on the ecosystems, we lose species diversity. And when the species diversity is gone, then we're gone. And I'm going to put out a plea right now to everyone to go on to Captain Paul Watson's website and to see that Captain Paul Watson is trying to save the diversity of the oceans and the whales. And he urges us that 2/3 of our breath come from the ocean, and that when the oceans are gone, we're gone. I'm urging everyone to be part of the movement to protect the diversity of our ecosystems. And as a Million Vegan Grandmother, we're protecting the grandchildren of all species. So thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tami. Recall for a moment the fires of India, Australia, California. Recall the floods of Spain and around the world. Recall deforestation. You've seen it happen. You know that it's bad. And I'm asking you to recall it because when you hear about it again, I don't want you to feel alone in, hey, there's nothing I can do. I want you to know there are things you can do to help prevent maybe the next storm, maybe the intensity or the duration of the storms. We can stop playing for a day. Let's not go on that luxury cruise. We could stop playing golf for a little bit. But I'm not judging, I'm just saying there are things that we can do. Deforestation does not begin with the tractors pulling down the trees. It begins when someone orders steaks or burgers for that family reunion or corporate party. You can say no thank you, or you can offer to bring food. Today I took food to the community center. It was all plant-based and they loved it. But that's just a start. Every minute that we do something, that we make a better choice, a plant-based choice, we're actually helping the environment and the habitats of animals. You know, the 9 planetary boundaries are tipping points, and I can't believe how many floods that we've had and storms, but now is the time to act. Let's start reversing the heating. The IPCC shows that animal agriculture takes up 43%, almost half of the ice-free land on Earth, just to feed exploited animals. And when I saw that map, it still is so profound to me that we humans use that much land just to feed animals that we exploit. And so I would recommend that you look that up, listen to or read Dr. Rao's paper, Gerard Redburn's Bishop's paper about what humans have done and what we can do to save life on Earth. I believe that you can see the connection between consumption and deforestation. And yes, eating plant-based, going vegans, those are things you do not need to put off. Let's go vegan today.
What is really happening? Tell me, humble beech tree, who wounded you? What marred your beauty with multiples of stabs? Who threw acid at your cupped leaves? Why are your young diseased before they're even as high as the blackberries? Are your injuries terminal, or don't you know? Shall I inquire of the hemlocks that hover above you? Better are they at articulating what bugs them? I fear the woolly adelgid attacking them can't be so easy to endure. Imagine for a moment the scorching of the maple leaves, jaundiced and unable to find the strength to participate in the harvest fair, no longer donning the mascots of their ancestors so bright. To you, great white oak, jet black tar spots, vascular disease, and the fungus of anthracnose has also weakened me. I depend on you to stand paternal with a willingness to be tapped for ancient knowledge and ideas for a way forward. What do you deduce, dear forest community, caught in these years of decline? How do you reconcile your suffering with the cheerful chipping of squirrels in the cool of the evenings, when the hermit thrushes offered their ribbons of song, when all seems to be well? Do you share the details of your aches and pains, hold hands for comfort, contemplate mortality more now than ever? Or are the rumblings of the one life we share instructing you not to fret? Please know, magnificent givers, I have come to witness you, to comfort you as you have comforted me, and so as not to disturb you more, and to take the lessons you have taught me so well, I promise not to search for blame.
Hi everybody, my name is Dakota and I am a climate healer. So I met Tami and BJ and Dr. Rao and others here. You know, I knew the climate crisis was bad, but I started learning so much more, and that it's something we need to act on right away because the ecosystems are collapsing now. And we have a 5-fire alarm going on planet Earth. And once we know like the house is on fire, then you don't just kind of continue your daily activities. You do whatever you can to put the fire out. Join the effort, grab a hose and get some water and all of that. One thing that helps me remember the big picture was this graph of the biomass on the planet. 60%, so like a 2/3 chunk of the circular graph was all in red. And that was just farmed animals, you know, cows and pigs and chickens, the animals that we exploit for food. It just blew my mind how many farmed animals we overproduce. And so 36% was humans and only 4% with this little sliver was the whole rest of the ecosystem. I mean, all the wildlife. So stopping animal agriculture and going vegan, we can let the animals go back to their normal reproductive cycle, quit overbreeding them, quit exploiting them, and also take the land and have more than enough food to feed every person on planet Earth, and let it reforest and rewild as well and give the land back to Mother Nature and wildlife. And we're just very dangerously close to this precipice, so the time is now.
Thank you, Dakota.
Hello, I'm Ray. I keep thinking in themes of how change is the only constant, and humanity fears that change will never come. And we fear that the world is getting more violent, and fear that being vegan utopians is too painful a burden to bear. But we live in a time of rapid change and different expectations, where we've got wars of imperialism and hate that are familiar to us and they persist. But we also know that we're in an age of information and communication, And I recognize that the rules of our society were created in an industrial age that no longer serves us. And despite our falling into the old familiar traps set by the fearmongers, love is enjoying an era of heightened relevance. Even as we fear and hate, we're understanding the prize when we resist. And we're rapidly approaching an age where we're going to be forced into decisions that we've always wanted to make. And climate change is a very relevant example of that. And as vegans, we get together and we talk about this great solution that is so incredibly powerful that nobody else is paying any attention to. And my message is to those people who are pretty sure that they've got climate change figured out, and they've despaired because they haven't found the solutions in summits where nations get together to try to solve them. But when we get together in small groups and recognize that countries aren't going to solve this, it's always going to be small groups of people who are doing things out of love, making the world better. These are the things that are going to change us. We don't need global summits where countries who manage the finances and economies of our world are the ones that make the decisions. We can do it ourselves. And I want everybody to feel that strength and be part of this movement as we embrace the next 2 years. I think the change is going to come fast. It's going to feel like we're losing until we win. And I think that time is soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Radical changes are needed in order to deal with climate change. We're already at 1.5 degrees centigrade above the baseline, and now everyone's talking about 2 degrees centigrade, 3 degrees centigrade, and the shutdown of the Gulf Stream. There are several things which many people in the climate movement do not understand about climate. Point number 1. Renewables are going to be much more difficult to implement than people commonly imagine. Václav Smil, a noted environmental scientist, has said that to get to net zero emissions, much less a 100% renewable economy, would take 20 to 25% of our GDP. That's a level of commitment from the United States that we haven't seen since the Second World War. During the Second World War, 40% of our vegetables were grown in backyard victory gardens, many consumer items weren't available at all, and the car industry shut down. That's the level of commitment we're talking about. Point number 2, the impact of livestock agriculture and land use is chronically and systematically underrepresented. Since the Industrial Revolution, the total large animal biomass on the planet has increased by a factor of 7. Of all the large animal biomass on the planet right now, about 2/3 is livestock, and 1/3 is humans, and 5% or less is all of the wild animals. At the same time, we've decreased the amount of plant matter on the planet by about half, mostly through deforestation and overgrazing. We could pull hundreds of gigatons of CO2 out of the atmosphere through the process of just returning all the land we now devote to livestock to natural vegetation or reforestation. When we look at these two alternatives, going to renewable economy, which we need to do anyway, versus going to a plant-based agriculture, you can see that actually from a technical point of view, plant-based agriculture is quite a bit easier. Renewables will require trillions of dollars of investments over decades and involve some technology that we don't quite yet understand, like how to create industrial heat for steel production, for example. But when you look at plant-based agriculture, we already know how to grow plants. We've been doing it for thousands of years. Radical changes are necessary in order to deal with climate.
Time to think about wild horses and move ourselves to make different choices. Work to set all the animals free. Time to free them from degradation, the terror of sexual violation. With care and with kindness, let them be. Be free, be free. All on our planet meant to be free. Freedom from exploitation. The injustice of commoditization. With loving kindness into them we see, we see, we see. We see. So it's time to think about letting go of things that keep us from our true love. In this way we to set our souls free and bring all of life into harmony. Harmony.